Hello everyone, I'm Elizabeth, and today we are talking about amnesia memories. So before I get started with this, I want to structure this video into two parts. The first part will be completely spoiler free, like a review for if you were thinking about buying this game, and then the second part will be full spoilers, but there will be a little break in between. So if you haven't played the game yet, feel free to keep watching, and if you have played the game, feel free to keep watching until the end. I did try to put up a background, it's right there. But I couldn't get the thumbtacks into the ceiling. So you get to see my apartment. Let's get started. So Amnesia is a series of games by our good friends Idea Factory, Design Factory, and Automate. Today we're talking about Amnesia Memories, which was released for the PS Vita, PC, and mobile in 2013, and then Idea Factory International brought it to North America and Europe in 2015. On Steam, which is where I got it from, it has a rating of 93%, and it's only $20 on there. Something I'll just mention really quick is that I think this is a problem for all the Idea Factory games that are available on Steam, is that they're very demanding graphically. So like when I bought Hakuoki, Kyoto Winds, Hakuoki, Edo Blossoms, and then Amnesia, my laptop, which would run like Skyrim and stuff, could not run these games. So exercise caution. And then your other options are to get it on the PS Vita, but I think it's a safe pick because it'll definitely run on there. And then the mobile version, I believe you pay per route. So if I'm talking about these dudes and you only like one of them, that might be the thing for you. I personally hate mobile Atome games, so those are your options. When I finished playing this game, Steam shows that I put in like about 50 hours, but to be fair, I think I left the game open and just running like multiple times, so that might be a little bit exaggerated. I would put this at like 40 hours of gameplay, maybe 50 if you're kind of not using a walkthrough. There are 5 routes. Each of them have at least 3 endings, a good ending, a neutral ending, and a bad ending. A couple of the routes have multiple bad endings. The translation quality, I mean, if there were any errors, I've forgotten them at this point, so I would say it's pretty good. Anyways, so now you know all that info. The actual game, Amnesia Memories, follows the protagonist when she wakes up kind of like in this like interstellar medium thing, because her consciousness has been collided with by a spirit named Orion, which for you English speakers out there looks like Orion, but his name is Orion, who is just a really sweet boy, but it kind of like knocks out the protagonist's memories, most of her personality, like that type of thing. And also kind of knocks her out of the universe that she's in, which is why you awaken the kind of like weird space thing. So Orianna tells you all of this. You can kind of make some choices in this prologue that give like an indication of personality, but we'll talk about that later. My opinion of the protagonist's personality. And so it gets to that there are 4 different like timelines kind of that you may have come from, and Orianna's kind of like, I don't know which one you came from, can you please pick? So your 4 options are Heart World, Spade World, Club World, Diamond World, I think, and those each correspond with one of the routes. So right off the bat, like, you do a very short prologue and then you pick your route that you are on. So if you're into that, it's that type of game. The protagonist wakes up, finds out it's August, she's a first-year psychology student, an employee at a maid cafe, and that she lives alone. The protagonist in the game is 19 years old and 159 centimeters tall, which is only about 5'2". The game focuses on like reclaiming your memories, because there's this dynamic of like the longer Orianna is in the protagonist's consciousness, the farther she gets from reclaiming like herself and her memories and stuff like that. The game mechanic focuses on like which ending you get is based on these 3 stats that you build based on your choices, which are affection, trust, and suspicion, which are shown in the menu like a little bar, which can be handy to like see your progress. And also I do like that it's 3 different statistics instead of just good choices and bad choices, like a lot of different otome games. Like there's kind of like a strategy for getting the 3 different endings. So first up, I'm going to talk about Shin, who is the route in Heart World. I promise I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. Shin is 18 years old. He's 179 centimeters tall, which is about 5'10". He's a Sagittarius. It was recommended to me that I include like character types. I don't know character types very well, but Shin to me is what I call a Keith. Okay, so a Keith is like a category of guy. This is like my category, and this is something I talk about. This like dark haired, kind of pale, like emo boy who feels like he's either your age or a little bit younger than you. So Shin is one example of this. Some other examples are Saito from Hakuoki, Keith, and Jungkook also feels like a Keith to me, but he's not a game character, but that's just an example. So that is his character type to me. Shin is kind of like like I said, he's kind of emo, he's a little bit dry. He's also very, very intelligent, which is something that plays into his route. Like, he's very clever. He kind of doesn't know very well how to express himself. He keeps a lot of his self to himself. Second route I'm going to talk about is Ikki, who is Spade World. Ikki's 22 years old. He's 183 centimeters tall, which is about 6 foot, so not bad. He's a Gemini, university senior. He's kind of like a genius, and I'll talk about this later, but one of the other characters writes very complicated math problems, and Ikki is the one that solves them. He's kind of like a ladies' man. He's got like a fan club. I think his character type is the playboy. I think this is a common otome character type. That's who he is. He has the fan club, he dates a lot of girls, you know, that type of thing. He's also the sauciest route in the game. Next is Kent, who is Ikki's friend. He's Club World. Kent is 25 years old, 190 centimeters tall, which is 6'3". He's Virgo Libra cusp. He's a grad student in mathematics. He's considered kind of like a math genius. He is writing the math problems that Ikki is solving and that type of thing. He's obviously very, very smart and has like a very logical approach to everything. His character type is Magane. I hear you all going, like, it's not like Magane. Okay, that's his, I think that's his character type. He has glasses, whatever. He's Ikki's best friend. He's like, his route is really wholesome. He kind of is an idiot who has no idea how to communicate with people. Like, a lot of the route focuses on the protagonist and Kent being like in arguments and being mad at each other, but it's mostly because he doesn't have like a good concept of how to communicate. It's really, really sweet watching him like change over the course of the route. And Toma, who is Diamond World, is 20 years old, 181 centimeters, which is about 5'11", and he's an Aries. He is a sophomore at a university. He's the protagonist's other childhood friend. So Shin, the protagonist, and Toma were all childhood friends. He's kind of like this like older brother type. He's really lovable outside his route. His character type is yandere. I personally like his character design the best out of all of them. I think he's wearing the least absurd outfit. There is a fifth love interest. It is not initially available. I can't say anything about him because he unlocks after you play the first 4 routes, but I will tell you that he's a Pisces. He's 24 years old. He's 185 centimeters tall, which is 6'1". He's also considered a yandere type. I don't think it really fits him, but he doesn't fit into any of the other categories. So there's also like some super cute mini games besides like the main like playing the Otome game. There's like rock, paper, scissors, and air hockey, which I think the air hockey is actually really, really cool because it's kind of interesting thinking about how they coded the AI. There are also a handful of side characters that you meet. There's Mine, Sawa, Rika, and the manager, and Orianna. I really, really like all the female characters because they seem very multi-dimensional. None of them are just, you know, like just your rival, just your best friend. All of them occupy multiple different roles depending on which route you're in, like across the same route. They're all like, they behave like real people kind of, and they have real people type of relationships. The manager is also very interesting. I won't spoil why. And Orianna, I love this boy. Okay, first of all, let's talk about his character design. Okay, I'm just gonna set the tone for how I feel about the character designs because Orianna is supposed to look like a 10-year-old boy. And I don't know about you, but he looks really freaking tall. Anyways, I love him. I think he's really, really sweet and he's doing his best. A lot of people don't like this protagonist, I think, because she doesn't have a lot of personality. She doesn't make a lot of choices for herself. She's mostly silent. She only speaks when you make a choice. Otherwise, like, her inner dialogue is with herself is all handled by Orianna, actually. And it's not like until towards the end of the game that you start to get the protagonist speaking a little bit more, having her own thoughts, that type of thing. And I just want to say that I think it makes sense because it's not put at like the front of the game, but it is canon that Orianna knocks out her memories, but he also knocks out her personality. I think it makes sense that she's kind of flat at the beginning of the game. That being said, like, this protagonist is a wet tissue. Like, she doesn't make any choices for herself, even in her small moments of lucidity. Like, hardly anything she picks for herself. I mean, it's like, it's kind of a Toma game protagonist syndrome. I just felt so disconnected from this protagonist. It feels like she is not a character. On a scale from 0 to 5, I'm gonna give her a 2 out of 5. And I think I'm being generous based on the context of the game. I'm dry as fuck. Orianna kind of occupies the protagonist role. While she has lost her personality, I'm gonna give Orianna a rating of 5 out of 5. Because I love him. I cry when he leaves at the end of a route, every single time. I really, really, really like this art style. I think it's really interesting. It has kind of like an ethereal feeling to it. It's all very like wispy and kind of dreamy when you look at it, and I really, really like it. However, the character designs are whack, and everyone has got these crazy long hands. Everyone's hands, like this is a normal person's hand, but their fingers go up to like this long. What's the deal? So 4 out of 5 for me. It's almost perfect. Oh, you know what? I have one more grievance with the art. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, like I am not, like these are professional artists who are good at what they do, and like I'm not in their profession, I'm not on their skill level, like, but I am a consumer. And in my opinion, the quality of the art of the CGs is sometimes inconsistent. And I don't want to spoil anything for you by showing you an example, but that's just my opinion. So 4 out of 5, it's almost perfect. My rating of the overall story, like just the story itself, how interesting the story is, I actually am gonna give it a 5 out of 5 because I'm crazy about like the parallel worlds thing. I'm kind of like a sci-fi nerd a little bit, so it kind of got me there. I seriously can't talk about why I like this story so much without spoiling a lot of it, but it's a 5 out of 5 for me. It really is. How saucy is this game? On a scale of 0 to 5, where 0 is that you could share this with like a 12-year-old and 5 is like this is a mature rated game, I would say that this is like a 2 out of 5. There are some routes in this game where like the protagonist never kisses the boy that she's getting with, like straight up, like no CG of them kissing, not even like text describing them kissing. So this 2 points of sauciness that I'm giving them, it's all from Ikki, because Ikki fucks. There's nothing explicit in the game, but like Ikki like gets pussy, and he's not afraid to talk about it, and he's not afraid to talk about fucking the protagonist. He doesn't use like the explicit language that I am using, but he does say some stuff about it. And because he's a Playboy character, it kind of makes sense for him. There's also a little bit, because that's kind of not enough for 2 points, there's also a little bit of like Toma's route. It kind of has a little bit of like a mature implication to it, but it's not explicitly said. And then Shin also, I mentioned that the protagonist works at a maid cafe. Shin is kind of like into that, so that adds a little bit to the sauciness for me. But overall, 2 out of 5, nothing actually explicit in here. My final total overall rating for Amnesia Memories is a 4 out of 5. It could have been a 5 out of 5, but there's Toma, and I can't explain it without spoiling a lot for you. But there's a bit about Toma's route that makes me give this a 4 out of 5 overall. I'm recommending this game to fans of yandere characters, obviously, because there's 2 of them: Doki Doki Literature Club, Dangan Ronpa, and that BTS comic called Save Me. My recommended play order for unveiling like the secrets and the intrigue in this game in like a nice progressive manner, I would say first play Club World, and then Spade World, then Heart World, then Diamond World, and then the 5th route. You can play the endings in any order. That's it for the spoiler-free part. If you haven't played the game yet, get the heck out of here, because we're gonna talk about spoilers. Hold up, okay, the art inconsistency, I gotta put up this CG. This ukiyo CG, like I'm not an art critic, I'm not an artist, I'm not a professional artist. This CG is difficult for me to look at. Like, I don't know, it just looks goofy. Okay, whatever, let's move on. So Shin's route. To summarize, the main character wakes up with a head injury in the hospital. Shin comes in and is like, hey boo, and then is like kissing her and shit. And then finesses her into admitting that she lost her memory, which is like sexy as fuck, like wow. Shin gets arrested because his father killed some dude in the past. He's super emo about it, blah blah blah. And so he is suspected of causing the head injury, which happened when everyone was at this lodge. And then protagonist and Shin, who who are dating, we're out for a walk or whatever. Oh, that's another part of my sauciness rating. Shin says, hey, you want a bone? And then the protagonist is like, what the fuck? And then she runs away and falls down a cliff. Shin immediately goes to get help. Toma, you know what happens. Shin gets arrested. Everyone goes back to the lodge to do a kind of like whodunit thing. And this is where I get into suggesting this to people who enjoy dangan ronpa, because it kind of has the same feeling of like the like trial thing. For me it did. I felt the same feeling in my heart. You figure out that Toma was like, I hate that you're dating Shin, and then dropped your head on a rock. I like this route a lot. I think it might be my favorite route actually. I love the little moments when, this happens I think in a couple other routes also, but like when the protagonist is doing like the maid cafe thing, like practicing for going back to work and stuff, and Shin gets all like blushy and he really likes it. Like, that's so cute. I love him. And I really like how like intelligent and how cunning he is, like doing the whole detective thing, like figuring out that the protagonist lost her memories within like a couple days. Really incredible. And I really like it. And I like also Ukyo's role in this route a lot, because it adds to the intrigue of like the detective part of the story, kind of. I really liked it because it kind of makes you go, oh well duh, like if you get a bad ending before you get to the good ending, it kind of makes you go like, well duh, like of course Ukyo is the one who like tried to kill her because he has a crush on her. But joke's on you, there's this parallel between Ukyo and Toma in this route, right? Ukyo says that he likes you so much that he's gonna kill you, and then he does. Toma is gonna do the same thing. Toma's doing the same thing, and Ukyo knows it. Like, we know that Ukyo knows it by this point. I just think it's so funny. Like, do you think he was playing a trick by saying that? And I'm really into, okay, so I just got done watching Romance is a Bonus Book on Netflix. Highly recommended, by the way, but this video isn't about that. And I'm really into like the like childhood friend who's like slightly younger than you being like, why don't you see me as a romantic partner potentially, you know, like that kind of thing. This route is a 5 out of 5 for me. Like, I really like everything about it. I love the mystery. I love who Shin is in this route. My favorite CG is gonna be this CG from when they were spending that night at the lodge, and then Shin is in the protagonist's room keeping an eye on the door and everything so that Ukyo and Toma can't come and try to kill her. Love a protective boy. Ikki's route was actually the first route that I played, which was really interesting. I picked his route first because he's kind of like what is typically my type, and then I really hated him right off the bat. So in Ikki's route, protagonist wakes up in her room. I think she only has one contact on her phone, which is Ikki. And the route kind of focuses on like sussing out what your relationship with him is while trying to regain your memory. Kind of figure out that like his eyes make girls go, oh wow, Ikki, because he like wished on a star when he was younger. Okay. He wished on a star when he was younger, that people would love him. So then he got the superpower where people look in his eyes and then they fall in love with him. And so because of that, he has this fan club, and in his route, you're dating him. So then there's this trip you go on, and there's this whole bit where Rika and the fan club try to kill you. And this was my first run-in with like the danger in this game. I had no idea. So it really freaking scared me. In this route, Ukyo kind of pops in, and he's like, oh, you're dating Ikki? That's fine. And then he backs out, which is really interesting. He's not like spooky in this route at all. Why is Ikki the one he's okay with? Because Kent is also kind of not problematic. Yeah, like I said, I picked Ikki first because he's kind of my type, and I hated him. I really did not like him. But then as the plot went on, I started to really like him, and by the end I was like, I love you. So I really do like him. Ikki's route is much more tame in terms of like tension that is in this game. However, definitely the spiciest route. Ikki fucks. Ikki tells you that he's trying to fuck. Also in this route, Toma is your stepbrother, which is really freaking weird. It raises the question for me, is he still a childhood friend? Is he still in love with you? That type of thing. It might be an excuse for him to not be in love with you and doing the whole Toma thing, you know? My favorite CG is this one from when the main character has a fever and Ikki comes to take care of her. Cause he looks skinty. Like Boyko Hula Hoopa Cheerio, like he's cute. Next I'm gonna talk about Kent's route. Kent's route is kind of similar because you also wake up in your room, hooray, and you have a text from him or something about meeting at a cafe. It was really cute because you come in and sit at a different table from him, but it works out because you're fighting. And he's kind of like, are you that mad at me? And the route is kind of about how the main character and Kent fight a lot, which is kind of getting a peek into what the main character's personality might be like. She's supposed to be like a very outspoken, I think kind of like fiery girl, which I think we never see in the game. This is another problem I have. Okay, I gotta skip it. This video is getting really long, I gotta skip it. Kent's route is about you arguing, you guys having trouble communicating together. He's this dude who you ended up walking the same path with regularly while you were walking your dog. The dog dies, unfortunately. Kent is really shitty about it because he's shitty about everything. But this route is really enjoyable because it's about him kind of emotionally maturing, learning how to communicate in a friendly way, and coming to terms with liking a person, which I think makes for a really, really interesting story. It's also one of the tamer routes in the sense that you're not actively in danger, probably the least in danger out of all the routes, but it has its own intrigue because you're kind of figuring Kent out, kind of watching him grow, and it's really, really interesting. And they bring up this point of like his parents think in the same super logical way, and that's where he got it from. So it's also kind of him finding himself because that kind of wasn't himself. And then it gets to this point where you're in the hospital and he has to pick between his conference and visiting you. This is a bit where Ukyo will kill you or he will kill himself. One of the more tame ways that Ukyo kills you. His character development is so real and heartwarming that Kent gets a 5 out of 5, but his outfit gets a 4 out of 5. Who the fuck needs that many belts on their coat? Like he looks like some like dumbass like fantasy Keanu Reeves wannabe. And what's up with his hands? Okay, we gotta skip this. Video's getting too long. Oh, and Toma and Shin are brothers in this route, which I think again is a tactic to skip the Toma drama, which I'm fine with. My favorite CG from this route is the one where they're at the festival. I don't know, it's just cute, and I like to see the protagonist in a different outfit because I hate her outfit. Toma! Toma. After I played Toma's route, I wrote a really long post on Tumblr and I was very, very upset, so I'm not gonna get as much into it. Toma's route, basically you collapse outside your apartment, Toma takes you to the hospital, realizes your memories are bunk, and then he lies about being your boyfriend. Right off the bat, that made me mad. Like, I don't care how much you like someone, if you like someone that much and you really want to protect her, like, And then Ikki's fan club kind of starts to get at you, like putting stuff in your mailbox and pushing you onto some train tracks and some shit. And I won't lie, when I was playing this route, I thought it was Toma doing these things. This route would have been more interesting to me if Toma had been orchestrating the like dangerous things so that he could like reel in the protagonist. Because that's what I thought was going on, and I was really disappointed that that wasn't it. So Ikki's fan club starts to get at you, trying to kill you, so Toma detains the protagonist in his apartment. Like door locked, she can't leave, he's drugging her food, he puts her in a cage. Up to this point, I'm intrigued. I love it. Like, I love this type of thing. I won't lie, I see you ladies who are like, yeah, you know, getting like threatened and killed by your boyfriend is kind of sexy. I see you. I agree. I liked this up to this point. I thought it was very intriguing. And here's where I start to have problems, okay? Shin comes over and is like, where is she? Like, I know that you're probably like detaining her here. Like I think Shin is aware that Toma's a little bit unstable because he is. And Toma's like, come outside. I gotta tell you something that'll make you go away. And then we never find out what it was. And that is so frustrating. And I think I'm gonna come at this from like a different perspective. Like, I write stuff sometimes and I think I understand what was going on here, that whoever was writing this plot kind of wrote themselves into a corner. That it made sense for Shin to come over and be concerned, but you kind of don't know what to do after that point to continue with the story you wanted to tell while wrapping up that conflict you created. I've been there, I write stories, I run D&D, like I know exactly what is going on, and I know that it's really frustrating and also really embarrassing. It was just really, really frustrating, and I think a lot of people are really frustrated by this, that you don't know what he said. Like, what is the thing that made him go away? And I don't think we can even speculate about it, because I don't think there is one thing that would have made him go away. And whoever was writing this knew it, and we know it. And I just wish it was handled a different way. So that's kind of where I started to get a little bit less on board with how Toma was going. He's putting sleeping pills in your food, he's keeping you in a cage, blah, 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 blah. You get out, you get hit by a motorcycle, you come back, and there's this whole dramatic confrontation. And then, what is it, like your diary falls off the shelf or something stupid? Or his diary? I don't know. Somehow, the two of you find out that you're in love with each other, because that's what this whole stupid conflict was about. The protagonist and Toma are crushing on each other. Very, very cute. Nice. Sweet. Childhood friend, you know? Like, I want him to see me, like, as a girl, not as, like, you know, just his childhood friend. Cute. I love it. But somehow, finding out that you two are in love with each other solves everything. Like, we forget that he threatened her with violence, he detained her in his apartment, that these were real crimes that he committed that can change someone's life. And I just felt kind of insulted that this writer wants us to believe after that point that nobody would be upset with Toma, suspicious of your relationship, that you could just go on like normal. And there's this bit in the good ending where he's like, haha, so how'd you get out of the cage anyways? And she's like, I'll tell you if you kiss me. Like, what the fuck? Like, you got kidnapped. And you're like, haha, I'll tell you if you kiss me. I hate it. I hate the good ending. I despise it. This route is really, really interesting and fantastic, but there are holes in it. There are big holes in it that are insulting as a reader. I felt like the neutral ending and the bad ending, those are good. Those were good. I liked Toma disappears forever and the protagonist is a little bit depressed. I feel like that's the true ending in this world, because how do you come back from doing that? Like, that's something people go to like serious jail for. And the bad ending was what I was looking for from the beginning, honestly. Besides my problems with the good ending, it's a fantastic and intriguing and kind of sexy route. Like, so I'm gonna have to go with 3 out of 5, because it could have been really good, and Toma has the best character design out of all the characters. I think we can agree on that. But it just has these big holes in it, and it just kind of makes me sad. My favorite CG from this route is this one where you come back from after getting hit by the motorcycle, and it's kind of spicy. I don't know, I just like it because it's kind of spicy. Ukyo he is there, he's around, and he does inform you that you're like in serious danger in this route, which is really interesting. Oh, you know, I just realized I always felt like getting hit by the motorcycle was kind of unlikely, but I'm realizing that it takes place as one of those accidents on August 25th. Wow. Ukyo's route is really what makes this game. If you ask me, the whole game is about Ukyo. Typically, I feel like in an Otome game, each boy gets their part, and no, it's not about one specific person. This game to me is about Ukyo. Like, he is the end of the game. I've even kind of done my hair like him today. I got a little braid, but it's not as thick as his because I have very thin hair. This route just made me go wowie zowie, you know? Like, it's so cool. Protagonist and Ukyo meet in Kobe a while back and immediately hit it off. Like, so good that the protagonist goes back home and immediately starts saving to go visit him again, which is crazy. You ever meet someone on vacation and like them that much? I've never. Then Ukyo shows up in town, you guys start dating pretty quickly, and then the protagonist dies in a fire in the school. And Ukyo, he runs in there, it's on fire, and he goes in there. That's true love. And he somehow gets in touch with Lord Neil, who is an actual god, and makes a wish to see the protagonist see the morning of August 26th. the wish is for Ukyo to see the protagonist live until August 26th. And so of course, Lord Neil grants it, and then goes all monkey's paw on him, and is like, joke's on you, both of you will die before August 26th. Like, one of you will die before August 26th. So Ukyo gets trapped in this cycle of him dying, of the protagonist dying, and jumping from timeline to timeline to timeline. And we have no idea how long he's been in this cycle. It's long enough that Lord Neil is like unable to keep bringing him from place to place. And I personally, that makes me think this is on the order of magnitude of like years that he's been at this. Years that he's been reliving August, dying, seeing the protagonist die, having to go through this shit. He knows every iteration of every timeline. And so his personality splits, and we need to talk about this. I think it's unfair to put Ukyo in the yandere category because he isn't. The Ukyo that wants to kill the protagonist is not Ukyo. Because I think some people don't word this the way that I would agree with. I think Ukyo has dissociative identity disorder, and he actually has split into two personalities. One of them is the original Ukyo, and the other one is one that's meant to protect him from this terrible cycle of dying and seeing the person he loves die. I think it is a totally valid and traumatic enough experience that he would have split. I think it's totally valid, and I don't think it's that he's yandere or that he went crazy or something like that. I think that he developed dissociative identity disorder from being in this cycle for however long. And I think it's kind of harmful to say something else. That's why I hesitate to put him in the yandere category, but people who like yandere characters are gonna like him, so I had to say it. So he becomes the Ukyo that would die to save you, and the Ukyo that would kill you to save himself. And we see both of those Ukyos appearing in the other route, with him jumping off the hospital roof, with him throwing you off the hospital roof, you know, this type of thing. Both of them are present in all the different routes. And so finally, you get to the end of his route where it's August 26th. He's chased you around with a knife for however long. Ukyo, who wants to save you, finally takes over and stabs himself so that Ukyo, who wants to kill you, can't come back out again. And it's August 26th, and he's alive and you're alive, and finally the wish is fulfilled. So Lord Neil is able to pull you out and have a conversation with you about what Ukyo did and explain everything, and explain how it's actually, they rewound back to July. Ukyo was a pussy about it, so then it got to August again. And the part that breaks my heart is that you get here. Like, you finally break the cycle. And Lord Neil says to you that Ukyo's only wish is to disappear forever. Like, that makes me so sad. And the good ending almost felt selfish to me, because you have to say no. He can't leave this behind. Like, I want him to keep living. I feel like that's selfish, because then you see in the good ending, you know, while you're talking to Orianna and Neil as like humans, and it's really, really cute and stuff, you see that he remembers and the protagonist does not. Ukyo remembers all that trauma he had to go through, the trauma of killing the protagonist, the trauma of dying, the trauma that split his personality. And so what? Like, so what if you're together now? Like, he didn't want to be alive anymore. I can't imagine living with, like, having lived through however many years of doing that and then having to just go back to normal everyday life. So I like the neutral ending a little bit better, just personally. However, I'm gonna give this route a 5 out of 5 for being truly thrilling and having an incredibly interesting character. An incredibly interesting character. My favorite CG from this route is this one at the school where he's got the knife, and it was like kind of sexy for a second, but now he's crying, so it's a little bit less sexy, but I like the crying iteration. I was gonna mention my favorite song from the original soundtrack is Paradox, because it comes out in my 2 favorite routes, and that's the only times it plays, Shin's route and Ukyo's route, so I really like that song. I think it is really like powerful. I guess I just wanted to also dig into the side characters a little bit really quick. I really liked all the side characters, and I thought all of them were very well done and interesting characters. Sawa is incredible and really friendly, and I think it's interesting when she is sometimes your like love rival and mostly your best friend, but I'm gonna put it out there, she's a lesbian. Like, go replay the game. That's a lesbian. You'll agree. Mine is like super duper cute, and I get that she's sometimes annoying, but I think you could attribute that to like her age. Like, we're all pretty freaking annoying when we're like 17 or whatever. I was annoying Rika, I've talked about this with some people. I don't think she's evil. I think she's supposed to be evil. I personally don't think she's evil. Like chaotic neutral, maybe. And I could get into this, but I think it's mostly just that like she isn't like intrinsically evil. She might do some really bad things, but I think she's not intrinsically evil. Also, hot. Next, the manager I think is so interesting, and I love Ukyo's comment about how he's different in every timeline, but like the essence of his being is always the same. I think it's so cool. And the first time I switched to a different route, I saw that he was like a different person. Like his personality was totally changed. I was like, whoa, you know, I was like, and then Orianna, you know that I love Orianna. I think he's baby. He's so sweet. That's really all I have to say about this game. I think I got all my thoughts out there.